All right, colleagues, good afternoon. Welcome to today's session on Zotero Reference Management Tool. My name is Toby Lemtetwa. I am the Acting Librarian for Scholarly Communication and Postgraduate Support. So this is just an overview of what this session will cover. I will not go through each bullet point. I will just go directly into the presentation. So what is Zotero? It is a free open source reference management tool available for Mac, Windows, Linux machine, as well as Android. What it does is that it helps you collect, organize, cite, and share research sources. It integrates into Word and web browsers for easy citation management. Why use Zotero? It simplifies referencing and citation. It organizes your sources in one place, provides automatically generates bibliographies. It supports collaborative research through shared libraries. So this slide provides a comparison between Zotero and Mendeley reference management tools. I'm just gonna highlight the features of reference styles. As you can see on the slides, Zotero provide a greater number of citation styles in contrast to Mendeley, which only has 1,000 styles. With Zotero, you're able to capture metadata from web pages, PDF, and library databases, in contrast to Mendeley, which is very good, but sometimes it misses metadata from sites. With Zotero, you're able to highlight, make notes, and create tabs. With Mendeley, there's just only a built-in annotation. So Zotero integrates across different platforms such as Word, LibreOffice, Google Docs, in contrast to Mendeley that only integrates with Word. Mendeley allows you to share your references or sources with a group of people, whereas in Zotero, this is limited. And then I will also draw your attention with which is best for what, with Zotero being best for students and researchers needing an open and flexible tool, in contrast to Mendeley, which is great for collaborative research teams, science-heavy field, and also field database users. So our researchers and students can choose between the two depending on their information need. So the slides provide tools or the things that you need to effectively use Zotero as your reference management tool. The first thing that you need to do is you need to download the app, create the web library. Secondly, thirdly, you need to add Zotero connector, add references to your Zotero application. When you are working on your Word document, Zotero comes bundled into Word. And then with Zotero, in contrast to Mendeley, they also have a Google Docs application where you're able to work directly from Google Docs and able to cite through the Google Docs option. I will take you through the steps on how to do each of the following. So now we're going to head over to the live demonstration. Okay. The first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to navigate to the Rhodes Library website, and then we're going to navigate to the Rhodes University Library website. Once we're at the Rhodes Library website, we're going to scroll down to access my subject guide. Then under all guides, I'm going to scroll down to Zotero. Once I'm at the Zotero reference or LibGuide rather, I'm going to go to Get Started. Then I'm going to register or set up my Zotero account. All right, so when you get to this or when you land on this page, you can either register for a new account if you don't have a Zotero account by filling in your Rhodes email address, and then you can create a username of your choice that you're going to remember, and then you can create a password. Because I already have an account with Zotero, I'm just going to log in. So I'm going to log in with my Rhodes email. All right, once I'm logged in, or once I've created and registered for an account, I now have a Zotero web library. A web library is beneficial as it assists you with, let's say you don't have your personal device. So when you log in into a different machine, you can just access Zotero on the web, and then you can log in so that you can add your references to the web library. So if you click here, you'll get an idea of what the web library looks like. Then you'll be able to add your references. But I will explain that part on how to add references later on. So now I'm just going to go back to Zotero. So once you've created your web library, now you need to download Zotero. So Zotero is compatible with Mac, Windows, Linux, iOS, and Android. So important that when you download Zotero, it also depends on your search engine that you're using. Then you need to follow the necessary step to add Zotero application into your device. I'm not going to download since I already have the Zotero application. Once you've downloaded the Zotero application, it should install. And once you've installed, I'm just going to quickly show you what the Zotero application will look like. Sorry. So once you've installed Zotero, you will now have the Zotero application. The other thing that you need to install after you've installed the Zotero application is your Zotero connector. So I'm going to click download. So once you click download, like I said earlier on, that depending on your search engine, so Zotero is compatible with different search engine, be it's Chrome, Firefox, Windows, Linux. Because I'm using Chrome, I can download for Zotero under the Zotero connector for Chrome. Very important that you download the Zotero connector for the search, your default search engine. Be it if you're using Firefox, you must download for Firefox. In this instance, I will install for Chrome since I'm using Chrome as my web browser. Then it will take you here and it should say add Zotero for Chrome. But because I already have the Zotero connector, it's saying remove. So if I can easily say remove. And if I want to install the Zotero connector, I can say add to Chrome. And then it will add it as an extension to my web browser. So the Zotero connector is beneficial because what it does is that it allows you to, it's an extension that links your web browser directly to Zotero, making it quick and easy to capture research materials while you browse. Its main purpose is to automatically save bibliography information from web pages, such as journal article, books, reports, so forth. So I've now installed the Zotero connector. Once installed it under extensions here, you should see the Zotero connector as an extension appearing here. All right, we're now going to move on to navigating the Zotero interface. So once we've installed the Zotero connector and the application, now I will go straight to my Zotero interface. I will begin with my library. My library contains your entire references. We also have with my library something called new collection, which you can also call your folder, and you can give it a title. For example, I can give it Zotero training to create a new collection. But what I'm realizing is creating it in another library. I don't want that. I want it under my library as a standalone. So I'm going to come here and say create a new collection. Then it's now going to create under my library. Then I can say Zotero training. Right, I have now created a new folder. Under this new folder or collection, I can create a subfolder by right-clicking, and maybe depending on the phase you are in your research, maybe you're still in the introduction, you want readings for your introduction. So the nice part about these reference management tools is that they allow you to organize your library based on the different parts of your research stages. Maybe you can call it proposal or introduction. Maybe you just want readings for your introduction, or you can give it any other name of your choice. And you can see that it's creating under Zotero training. Now I have that as a subfield. Right, we also have the all field and tags, which is a search lens that shows certain books matching your criteria. So once you've added references, which I'll show you later on, you can search here on this navigation pane for easy access to your references. All right, colleagues, now we're gonna come to the top pane or navigation pane of Zotero. We have file. Under file, there's a component called new item. New item allows you to add references manually to your library. For example, depending on the information source you have, be it's a book, document, you can choose the one that's applicable to you. So for example, if I have a journal article in front of me, I can click journal article, then you must populate the fields yourself. You can enter the title of the journal, the author or author's publication, all this information. And you're doing all under your collection called Zotero training and your subfolder called introduction. Right, and then under file, you also can add your references by DOI, or you can add an attachment, and yeah. So next, we're gonna navigate to, just a second. I've explained file, sorry. Now I just want to quickly take you through the other fields within Zotero. We have my publications here, which stores your own research outputs. We have duplicates, items. It identifies and merges repeated references. We have unfiled items section here, which contain any references that are not filed into any collection. We have trash for deleted items, and we also have group libraries. Here on the Zotero navigation pane, which is the main or middle window, it shows a list of all the references that you've added into your Zotero. And then on the right, we'll show you information on that particular reference here. But you will see this as we proceed with the reference, as we proceed or as we add references later on. So I've already explained here, file. I'm now going to move on to edit. With edit, you run straight to settings. Under settings, remember, colleagues, we have a web library, right? With our web library, under Zotero settings, we have general, which is just your general settings here. And then we have sync. Since we created a web library, when you don't have your personal device with you and you want to access your Zotero web library, you must sync your web library with your Zotero application. So whatever you do on the web library must also appear on the application itself. For example, if I come back here into my web library, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna go straight back to Zotero. Right? Here under my web library, this is my username, right? So when I come to my Zotero application, right? When I want to edit, when I want to sync in, I need to use my username that I created earlier on when I registered and add my password so that whatever I do on the web library syncs with whatever I do on the application, vice versa. Then I'm going to set up syncing. Right, I've now synced my application and web library. We also have cite. This is useful when you're now working on your Word document and you want to choose your referencing style. But I'll show you this when we get to the Word document, when you're now working on your Word document and you want to choose your preferred referencing style. All right, colleagues, we also have tools. Under tools, sometimes it happens that you download the Zotero application and it does not come bundled into Word, your word processor. So you can, you can navigate to plugins and then it will take you to installing the Zotero plugin into your Word. Under tools, we also have install browser connector, which we have installed for Chrome. And then we also have help here. Maybe you're having issues with your Zotero application. You can navigate to the help button where you can see different information. Maybe you're struggling with maybe troubleshooting and stuff, and then it will take you to your web browser to tell you more on what you can do to fix the issue. All right, colleagues, we're now going to move on to organizing our library. All right, so I've already touched on organizing your library where you can add subfield into your collection or sub-collections. We have introduction. Maybe you can create another new sub-collection. Maybe you can call it methodology and so forth. So that's how you organize. And then every time you maybe grab readings, if you want to organize by subfield, you can put your references rather under the correct subfield. Okay. So earlier on, I touched on there's different ways to add references to your Zotero application. The first one being manually. You can either come to the file option drop-down list, or you can navigate here on the top pane where you can add your references manually. And I showed you maybe depending on your information source that's in front of you, you can choose the one that's applicable. We have a whole list. And then you can also add by DOI. So I'm just going to show you how to add by DOI. Let's say you have the DOI for a specific reference. Let's say this is the DOI I have from the website, and I just want to add it to my Zotero. I will click here and then I will paste it. Sorry about that. But I need to choose whether I want it under my introduction subfield or methodology. So let's say I want it under my introduction because it forms part of my introduction readings. Then I can just paste the DOI. And then what Zotero does is that it picks up the metadata on the top right-hand corner. So now it's telling you the item type, the information of your source, the authors, and so forth. And it's downloaded all the information. So for open source, open access items, they automatically download with an attachment and an abstract. In the event that sometimes you add a reference through a DOI and it doesn't add the attachment and you want the attachment to be part of your Zotero application, you can download from the website and you can add the attachment as a file. And then you also have the option to also, if maybe you don't want to explore that option, you have your references maybe already downloaded into your USB or file. You go straight to add file. Maybe you saved your work in your computer under maybe your preferred folder. And then maybe this is maybe the reference that I want. You can add it directly. And then what Zotero will do is that it will pick up the file, right? And then you see here, when we added it as an attachment, it picked up all the metadata, including the abstract, as well as the attachment. So the nice part is when you have the attachment as part of your Zotero, you can annotate, you can, for example, you can, let me just demonstrate, you can highlight, right? You can highlight, you can add sticky notes to whatever, maybe paraphrase and so forth. So you can use this navigation pane. All right, so next up, also important is that with Zotero, you're able to import references from your preferred databases and websites. So for example, let's say this is the landing page for you. You've under Taylor and Francis online. You can use this option, cite this article, and then you can download the citation format. Maybe you can download the RIS, and then you can download citation. And what you would do is you would add it as a file under Zotero, and it should be able to pull out that reference as the same way it did for this other reference. All right. Alternatively, some people like pulling out information from databases. For example, let's say I go back to the Rhodes University Library webpage. I go to databases A to Z. Maybe I want to search through the Web of Science database, right? Access database. I'll show why it's doing that. Okay, and then when you get to the database, maybe you want to search for something on information literacy, right? And then you search. And when you get here, maybe this is the reference that you need, right? So I'm not going to go into depth on how to search using your search string advanced search, because colleagues have already facilitated sessions on how to navigate the different databases. So I'm just going to provide an example. Let's say this is the reference that you want, and you want to cite this. So what you can do is you can export, can come to export, and then you can download the file format for Zotero, which is the RIS, and then you would upload that as a file into your Zotero application. Alternatively, you can go to a free, to access the reading through the database, right? It's open access article. So we're going to download, right? We're going to download the PDF and save it. And then perhaps we can open it up, right? So I've already showed you how to attach the PDF into the Zotero application as a file. So now I'm just going to show you in the event that maybe you don't want to add the downloaded version, you just want to make use of your Zotero application. What you can do is you come here to your extension, you make use of your Zotero connector. So let's say you just you want easy access, you can make use of your Zotero connector. So it picks up, should be picking up as a file, but I'm not sure why it's not picking up here. But I will show you another example where it will pick up as a file. For example, let's try this PDF. All right, and then you'd come here to under extensions. So when you get here, you see now it's telling us the file format. It's a PDF. Then you would click on Zotero connector. What it does is it pulls out this saving to option. Under my library, you choose where you want to save it to, under methodology or introduction under your folder or collection called Zotero training. I want it under introduction. Then I can just save it. So it's called Digital Literacy Labor Migration by, okay, I don't want to butcher the surname, but I think it's Wang et al. Yeah, hopefully I'm not butchering the surnames. And then I would save it under introduction. Then I will select done. Once I've saved it, I come to my Zotero application, introduction. You see it's highlighted for me. It's now added as a reference here. And because it's an open source tool, the PDF is attached to it. So yeah, and then the metadata is already automatically populated for you. But it's also important to also sometimes to cross-check when these reference management tools pull out information from databases to ensure that you have all the key information included so that you don't miss any information when you set up your bibliography. All right, colleagues, we're now going to navigate into, I've shown you database on pulling out sources from Google Scholar. So colleagues, I'm just going to navigate back to the Rhodes Library webpage. Then when I'm on the landing page for Rhodes University, I'm going to go to Access Google Scholar. When I access Google Scholar, maybe I'm researching on digital literacy or information management. Oops, typo. Search. All right, colleagues, when I get to this page, I read through it, right? And then I see that there's a couple of references that I want to save, right? So what you would do is, right, instead of going to save each one manually, right, or adding each one through the DOI, it's a lot of work. You can just use your Zotero connector. That's when your Zotero connector comes in, or is helpful rather. So remember earlier on, because we had one source, which was a PDF, it appeared as a PDF. Here, because I'm on Google Scholar and it has different sources, right? It's picking up as a folder. So when I click on the folder under my extensions for Zotero connector, what it does is it pulls out all the references under this page on my Google Scholar. So if I want all of these, I will simply select all. But if I want maybe a handful or few, I would deselect and choose the ones that I want. In this instance, I'm just going to select all. Then you're going to come here to the top right-hand corner. When you get here, you also have the option to expand and choose where you want to save your references. I'm still under my introduction because I'm still trying to find sources for my introduction chapter of my thesis, right? Then I'm just going to select done. Or alternatively, maybe I want this under my methodology of my Zotero training folder. Then I'm going to select done, right? Once I've selected done, I'm going to go back to my Zotero application. I'm going to go to under methodology to check if my references have populated. So it still has not come through. Just going to refresh. Okay, if it doesn't automatically pulls in the metadata, you just go back and you try that one more time. Zotero connector, methodology, sorry, Zotero connector. I want to select all. Then I'm just going to expand methodology, done. Let me check one more time. Okay. Select, let's check if it's there. Okay, let's see here. Oh, it's because I need to select OK and see if it pulls out. Right, sorry. So I was supposed to select OK after I've selected all references, right? And then once I've chosen where I want it to be under methodology, it pulls out all the references. As you can see, it's pulling out as, depending on the document, as an HTML file. If you need it as a PDF, you can add it, download it, and add it manually here as a file. And then for some, for example, this one, the global network, it managed to pull out the PDF. So it's an open source, right? And then all the metadata, if you want to view the metadata, you can view all the metadata here, as well as the, it didn't download the abstract, but it has the file. So that's another way in which you can add references to your Zotero application. All right, colleagues. So I'm just going to quickly navigate to our Google Scholar option. Okay, so let's say you have your Word, right? What you would do is you will go to your email, Drive, right? Once you get to your Drive, you say New. You say Google Docs. So when you downloaded your Zotero, because it comes in bundled in with Word, it also integrates into your Google Docs. So now I have Zotero here. Depending on where I want to work from in terms of Word, I can either choose the Word application to work directly from the Word application, right? I'm just going to show you both. Here on the Word application, or I can choose to work directly from my Google Docs. So I'm just going to give this Zotero training doc, maybe one, right? Let's say you've now, what you call it, you want to work directly from your Google Drive, right? What you would do is that you would work, let me just paste some information here to make it easier for you. Okay. Let's say this is the information that you've typed, right? You've typed this information, maybe this is the introduction component. This is the introduction component of your write-up. Now you want to cite, right? So what you would do is you come to Zotero, right? It gives you a drop-down list to add citation. So I'm just gonna add citation. Now, when you, depending on the email you used, right, to set up your Zotero account, your web library, you need to choose that email, right, for Google Docs integration. So I'm just gonna choose my Rhodes email. And then it's gonna, let me maximize, and then it's gonna give me this information. You can just read through it and then select continue. Once you select continue, I'm just waiting for the document to update. Okay, colleagues, while it's saying Zotero is updating your document, please wait. I see there's a pop-up at the bottom. Remember earlier on, we spoke about choosing your preferred reference style. So the minute you say add citation, it wants you to choose your preferred referencing style. Let's say I'm referencing using APA, you can choose the one you want, or you can come to manage styles. And then if your preferred style is not showing in the navigation pane, you can search for it here. Maybe APA, there's different formats for it. Oh, sorry. You come to site and then you can search for it. You come to get additional styles, right? Once you come to get additional styles, you search for maybe APA, right? You see that there's different styles of APA versions and stuff. So I just want the normal APA 7th edition style. There's a whole list that you can choose from. And then I'm just gonna select APA 7th edition, right? And then I'm just gonna close, right? And then I'm gonna add my citation. Once I've chosen my preferred style APA 7th edition, what it will do is that it's gonna pull out this navigation pane. So I can either keep sources sorted or view the classic view. When I view the classic view, I have my library here, but I want Zotero training and I want my references from the introduction part. Let's say I want the person who wrote that information is this author, right? I'm going to select that author and say, okay. Once I say, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to add the source for me there using APA referencing style. Maybe there's also another author that also, said that sentence, right? So what I can do is I can come here again, add citation, then maybe view classic. Maybe this is the order that said or that spoke about that information. Then I can reference, right? That, and then make space. So let's say more than one author said the same thing. I can put a semicolon, right? And then come back to Zotero, add citation. Okay. Add citation. Now I'm going to come to classic view. Then I'm going to add the other author who also said the same information. It should have pulled out both authors, but it just pulled out one. So essentially you able to add more than one author to a reference. But the sad part is it says you have modified the citation since Zotero editing. Do you want to continue? No. Okay. But essentially, you should be able to add more than one citation, like how you would do it manually. So you can add another author here. This is the pop-up that I want. And then let's say that author. Right, and then you can edit like that. And then you should be able to have your references. And then let's say now you've completed your document or you're done with your write-up. Now you want to populate references, right? You come back to Zotero, you say add edit bibliography, and then you select, and then there should be a pop-up here. It's saying Zotero is updating, then it automatically, and let's wait for the document. Then I can say reference list, and then all my in-text citations have been populated for me. Yeah, all my in-text, they've been populated for me. Yes. I have two authors and they are both here on my reference list. So in the event that maybe you write something and you forget to maybe include an author, let's say maybe the author is Palmer 2023, right? And then you manually, you have your write-up, Zotero, training, Palmer 2023, right? And then you say add bibliography, right? You would see that it would not pick up Palmer because Palmer is not part of my references, right? So it will only populate these two that I pulled out from my Zotero application. So it's very important that when you work with the Zotero application, you add all references to the Zotero application or your web library so that when you populate your reference list, you don't have any missing citations. So colleagues, the same way you would use your Zotero on Google Docs, it works the same for your Zotero application. So let's say this is my Word document that I opened earlier. And now I want to paste information, right? I would, let me just copy some information from the website, right? And information. Okay. I'm going to come to my Word application that I opened earlier. Let's say introduction again. So it works more or less the same. I'm going to paste, right? Copy pasted everything, right? Okay, so now that I have text on my document, I can come to add citation. The same procedure we did before. You choose your preferred referencing style. Maybe I want Chicago author date referencing style as my preferred referencing style. Once I've chosen that, it would say add citation. Very important that you place your cursor where you want to add your citation. I'm just going to do that one more time. Add citation, right? And then it's pulled that out for me. But now I want sources from my methodology chapter, right? Maybe there's a source that I want to use for my introduction, but I saved it under my methodology chapter. Maybe it's McLeod, for example. Then I select McLeod, right? Ooh, sorry. It means that I didn't, the metadata didn't pull out correctly there. Let's say we have a different source, right? Maybe let's choose Barnsley, right? And then, right, it should pull out the information the same way. So these work the same, but you can see the referencing style because now this is a different referencing style. We use APA on the other side. Here we're using Chicago author date. This is how it's pulling out. So it will cite your in-text references based on your chosen referencing style. Then you can add another one. Maybe we want this author, right? And then it's reference that author as well. Then you come here, right? Very important. Then in the same way you populated your bibliography under the Google Docs Zotero option for your Word application, you say add bibliography and it will populate your references. Like I said before, when you pull out the metadata, it's very important that you ensure that all fields are properly populated so that when you populate your bibliography for your references, you have all the key information included so that you're not missing any references. And then you can just call this references or your reference list. All right, colleagues, I think we have come to the end of today's session. I'm not sure if I've left anything out that you need assistance with, but if you have further questions, I'm here and I'm happy to assist if you need clarification on anything. Thank you for attending today's session. I will stay behind until past to take up any questions that you may have. But before you leave, I'm going to ask for a favor. I'm going to ask you to please complete our summative assessment, just to gather if the session was insightful and if you now have a better understanding of how to use Zotero as your reference management tool. So I'm going to open the floor for any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for attending today's session. I am now going to take up any questions that you may have. Thank you, colleagues.
Hi, Tobile. Thank you so much
Hi,
for
Sophia.
this. I just want to ask, like in terms of, you know how sometimes when you're referencing, it requires for the first referencing of, let's say, a source with multiple authors to have all of the authors' surnames in there. How do you do that? Because I noticed that most of yours show et al. And then the second question is about adding page numbers. Do you do that manually if you're
Okay.
using a direct quote?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm going to start with the second question. Yes, that's the sad part about the reference management tool is that it unfortunately does not pick up page numbers because now it doesn't know where you got the information from. So you would go back to your reference, right? You would go back to your, I just want to escape. You would go back to your reference and then you would add page, maybe this information was from page 234, right? And then you would see when you populate your bibliography, it would pick up a pop-up that you made changes, right, to your document. Okay. So you're able to add page numbers manually to your Word document. And then in the event that maybe you refresh, right? Let's say I want to refresh my references. This pop-up message will come up saying, this is the changes that you've made. It's saying you have modified the citation since Zotero generated it. Do you want to keep your modifications, and prevent future updates? You can select yes to keep it as is, because if you say no, it's going to remove this part. Yeah. So it's the same with maybe if you wanted to add maybe another author here, it will give you the same pop-up to saying when you refresh, right? it would say, give you a pop-up message that says, this is the changes that you've made. Do you want to keep those changes? Can you please remind me of your first question?
The first question is about how the first reference usually. So if you are referencing a source with multiple authors, the first reference is to include all of the surnames of the
Mm-hmm.
authors. It shouldn't appear as et al. So now I noticed that I'm asking how would that work? Does Zotero automatically pick up when you're using a reference for the first time with multiple authors that it puts all the authors' surnames there in the first one, and then in the subsequent references uses et al, or does it just generally as a standard, practice, just use et al? So you would have to manually put in the first one yourself.
Okay, so let's look for, when you come to authors, right? Let's look for a reference with multiple authors or with just one or two authors, right? This reference, it's called Key Issues in Information Systems, right? Let's say this is my Word document, right? I want to add citation, classic view, key issues in systems and management. Let's see what it does. So it's pulled out both authors. So with referencing styles, most of them say after three authors, right? They use et al. So that's why it will say et al. If it's just two authors, it's able to pick up the two authors. I don't know if this answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, colleagues, as we wait for more questions, I'm going to ask you to please complete our summative assessment again or survey. I see Mr. James. He's saying, thanks, Toby. Will you please share the presentation? I had challenges with connectivity. I'll definitely share the presentation with all the attendees. And also, we're going to upload the recording of the postgrad training sessions of all that we've had thus far onto our YouTube channel. So you can also look out for that. But I'll definitely share the presentation, which provides a step-by-step guide on everything I've covered today. All right, colleagues, if there are no more questions, I'll still wait until past. Please join us for our other upcoming sessions on Mendeley as a reference management tool. Then you can compare the one that's most suitable or compatible for you. We also have a session on RefWorks. So you can compare and contrast the three referencing tools and see which one works best for you. I'm happy to set up one-on-one consultations with anyone who might be struggling to use or who's having issues with the Zotero application, as well as if maybe anything was unclear from today's session, you can email me. I'm just gonna navigate straight to the slide with my contact details. So you can either email myself or my line manager, Mr. Samuel Simango, but I strongly advise you to email me since I will be able to assist you directly with your information need with regards to the reference management tool. Thank you once again for attending today's session. If there are no more questions, I will see you next week, Monday, when we go through the Mendeley reference management tool.
Sorry, Toby.
Yes.
I don't know how to raise my hand. I'm not used to using Zoom.
It's okay.
Thank you for sharing your contact info because I'm going to follow up. I'm a bit confused on some of the things. I also had connectivity issues. But my question is concerning footnotes. Is there possibility of footnoting in these references management apps?
Definitely, ma'am. You can footnote. It depends on your referencing style. I'm not sure which referencing style requires footnote. Maybe if you know which referencing style, I know for law, they usually have referencing style that requires them to footnote, but you are able to choose a reference style, that allows you to what you call it, to let me refresh, right? Document preferences, to change your referencing style. For example, if you come to site, just want to quickly navigate to the if you come to site, there are different referencing styles. You can also build on your own referencing style that you feel, if you feel like these ones are not able to, your preferred referencing style is not here, you can, what's the word, edit or make it work for you so that you're able to footnote. But there's a wide range of references or referencing style. Which department are you in, ma'am?
It's law.
Law. Do you know which
Yes.
referencing style you use?
For now, let's use Harvard just as an example.
With Harvard, it doesn't, to my knowledge, I stand to be corrected. With Harvard, it doesn't actually allow you to footnote since it's an in-text, right? But we can give it a try. Let's give it a try. Okay. I'm just gonna come here. Just want a new document, right? And then add bibliography. J, right? I can't see Harvard here. Interesting. Okay, they have Harvard Educational Review. Let's see. Right. Okay, I've chosen Harvard Educational Review. Is it 10? There's a different reference. Right. I would have to look that up, but I know you should be able to do footnotes. Because with footnoting, you'd have to go here and then add, maybe it will be number one and then they'll appear here. What you can do is, ma'am, you can email me and then we'll be able to see how I can assist you when it comes to footnoting. Because I know with Harvard, it does it in text. Yeah. Thank you so much. Any other questions? If there aren't any other questions, thank you so much for attending today's session. Please email me if you have further questions or if there was anything else that was unclear. This is my email address, and thank you so much for attending once again. I'm hoping to see you again next week, Monday, when we go through Mandalay. Thank you.